There is a city that was built on one promise, that here, the spectacular would never stop. That the lights would always be on, the water would always be dancing, and the icons that made this place the most photographed destination on Earth would always be waiting for you, exactly where you left them. Dubai made that promise to the world for 4 decades. And for 4 decades, the world believed it. Something has changed. One by one, in the span of a few compressed and consequential months, the landmarks that define Dubai's golden era have begun to go silent. Some closed for what their owners called renovations. Others shut without explanation. And one of the closures on this list sent a signal so loud that investors, tourists, and analysts on every continent were forced to stop and listen. Not because the building that closed was just a building, but because it was the single most recognizable symbol Dubai ever produced. And its silence said something that no press release has been able to unsay. These are the 5 iconic Dubai landmarks that have gone dark, and the question the whole world is now asking out loud. Number 5. The Dubai Fountain goes silent. To understand what this meant, you have to understand what this fountain was built to represent. Installed at the base of the Burj Khalifa, stretching across a man-made lake in the heart of downtown, it was not simply an attraction. It was a declaration. The largest performing fountain on Earth, spanning over 900 feet, shooting water jets more than 500 feet into the air, choreographing water and light and music into a nightly spectacle that drew millions of visitors every year. For many tourists, it was their first memory of Dubai. For many more, it was their most lasting one. Then in April 2025, Emaar announced it would go dark for 5 full months. The basin had developed cracks. The waterproofing system required a complete overhaul. The giant screens surrounding the lake were removed entirely. For 5 months, that iconic lake sat drained, fenced off, empty. A surreal image for a city that had staked its entire identity on perpetual spectacle. When it reopened on October 1st, 2025, Emaar celebrated with a major public show. But within weeks came a second announcement, another phase of renovations planned for early 2026. Another closure. Another period of silence for the attraction Dubai's own tourism authorities had called the heartbeat of downtown. For the restaurants, tour operators, and hotels that built entire packages around the fountain view, the repeated closures meant direct revenue loss during peak visitor periods. But the deeper message was harder to ignore. Even the landmarks Dubai had presented as permanent wonders were fragile beneath the surface. The promises written in water and light have a cost that eventually comes due. Number 4. Dubai Parks and Resorts, the theme park reckoning. When it opened in December 2016, the language was classic Dubai, the largest integrated theme park destination in the Middle East. 4 world-class parks on a single site. DreamWorks, Columbia Pictures, Lionsgate, Legoland, all under one roof. The pitch was simple. Dubai was no longer just a city of towers and malls. It was now a full-scale family destination that could compete directly with Orlando. The early years were difficult. Attendance consistently fell short of projections. Then the pandemic wiped out what remained of the business case. MotionGate and Bollywood Parks attempted restructuring. Legoland was sold. Six Flags Dubai was halted mid-construction before eventually opening years behind schedule. By 2025, the transformation from original vision to something considerably more modest was complete. The integrated entertainment capital promised to the Gulf never materialized. What remained was a patchwork of surviving attractions operating well below the ambitions under which they were conceived. A quiet but revealing example of what happens when Dubai's signature confidence runs ahead of what the market can actually sustain. Number 3. Ain Dubai goes dark. When it opened in 2021, Ain Dubai was the world's largest observation wheel, 250 meters tall, larger than the London Eye, larger than the High Roller in Las Vegas. Cabins designed for private dining, corporate events, luxury celebrations, a wheel visible from 45 kilometers away. It closed in 2022, less than a year after opening. Precautionary safety checks, the operator said. No further details were offered. The wheel sat stationary for months, while tourists who had timed visits around it arrived to find it simply still. By 2025, it had still not returned to consistent operation, one of the most expensive and most visible examples of an attraction that never found the commercial footing its construction costs demanded, a 250-meter monument to the gap between announcement and reality. Number 2. The luxury retail collapse. This one has no single address. It is a pattern spreading across the retail landscape simultaneously. Carrying temporarily closed UAE stores, LVMH brands shut for at least 2 days despite operator pressure. Global luxury brands accounting for billions in annual Dubai sales pulled back in weeks. At its worst, tourist footfall at the world's largest retail destination collapsed 50% below normal. The withdrawal reflected something structural that the conflict only accelerated. A third of Dubai Mall's spending comes from international tourists, the most profitable cohort by transaction value. Another significant portion comes from affluent Gulf visitors. Both vanished simultaneously. Luxury retail in Dubai had always operated on the assumption that the flow of premium international visitors was essentially permanent. In the spring of 2026, that assumption was tested in real time, and it failed. Number 1. The Burj Al Arab closes its doors. In 2026, the Burj Al Arab announced it would close for an 18-month refurbishment, the first full closure in the hotel's entire operational history. The framing from management was confident: a long-planned update, a necessary investment, a modernization appropriate to its continued status as one of the world's premier luxury destinations. But the timing was impossible to separate from everything happening around it. Dubai's luxury hotels were reporting booking declines of up to 40%. Multiple governments had issued travel warnings against non-essential UAE travel. Major airlines had reduced or suspended routes. A regional conflict had produced missile and drone activity reaching Emirati airspace, with confirmed strikes on properties in Dubai. The Burj Al Arab itself had sustained minor damage from intercepted drone debris, a detail management had not publicly connected to the renovation announcement, but which was impossible to ignore as context. This was not a fountain being repaired. This was not a theme park restructuring. This was the building that invented modern Dubai's global identity. The structure used for over 2 decades as irrefutable visual proof that Dubai was a success story, a safe destination, a place worth traveling to from anywhere on Earth. Its silence was not a renovation. It was a punctuation mark in a sentence Dubai had never wanted written. Taken individually, each of these closures has a plausible explanation. Fountains need repairs. Theme parks adjust portfolios. Hotels renovate. These things happen in every major tourism destination on Earth. But when they happen simultaneously in the same city within the same compressed window of months, they stop being isolated decisions and start being a pattern. And Dubai's pattern in 2026 reveals something the city has never been forced to confront: the structural vulnerability of a place that built its entire global identity on one fragile proposition: that Dubai was always open, always safe, always spectacular, and always worth the journey. The moment that proposition is genuinely questioned, the entire system of value resting on top of it becomes unstable at once. Dubai is not collapsing, but it is being asked, perhaps for the first time in its modern life, to prove it is something more than its own image. That is the hardest test any city built on perception can face. Which of these 5 surprised you most? Leave it in the comments.